Imagine a 17-year-old boy trembling in a school hallway, words stuck in his throat like shards of glass. Every time he tries to speak, laughter erupts, cruel, sharp, relentless. His name is Eli Carter, and his stutter has made him a target. Kids mimic him, teachers look away, and his own voice feels like a cage. But today, something shifts. Eli stands at the edge of a stage, not in a classroom, but in the grand hall of the United Nations. Hey, hit that like button if you believe in second chances, and drop your city in the comments. Where are you watching from? The room is packed. Diplomats, leaders, cameras flashing. His heart pounds, his palms sweat, and the old fear creeps in. Will his words betray him again? He steps to the mic, opens his mouth, and the world holds its breath. What happens next will leave you speechless, because this isn't just a speech. It's a rebellion against every doubt, every taunt, every moment he was told he wasn't enough. Eli's story isn't just about overcoming a stutter. It's about finding a voice so powerful, it silences a room of the world's most influential people. Stick with us, because this journey from pain to triumph will hit you right in the heart. Eli was 12 when the bullying started. It wasn't just the snickers or the mocking chants of Eli in the cafeteria. It was the way his classmates would lean in, pretending to listen, only to laugh when his words tripped over themselves. Middle school in East Harlem was brutal, a concrete jungle where weakness was prey. Eli's stutter wasn't just a speech issue, it was a spotlight on his vulnerability. He'd spend lunch periods hiding in the library, mouthing words to empty air, hoping practice would fix him. It didn't. By high school, he was quieter, his head down, his dreams smaller. He wanted to be a writer, to let words flow on paper where they couldn't in his mouth, but even that felt impossible when his peers shredded his confidence. His mother, a single parent working double shifts at a diner, would find him staring at his notebook, pages blank. "You're enough, Eli," she'd say, her voice soft but firm. He wanted to believe her, but the world screamed otherwise. At night he'd lie awake, replaying the day's humiliations, his throat tight with unsaid words. The worst was a kid named Marcus, who'd record Eli's stumbles and post them online, each clip a fresh wound. Eli stopped speaking in class altogether. A spark of hope, Ms. Lena Thompson, Eli's 10th grade English teacher, noticed him shrinking. She was a wiry woman with gray streaks in her braids and a voice that could quiet a room without yelling. One day, after Marcus and his crew left Eli red-faced during a presentation, she kept him after class. "You've got something to say, Eli," she said, sliding his crumpled essay back to him. It was about his mother's sacrifices, raw and honest. Words he couldn't speak but could write. "Your voice matters, even if it shakes." She invited him to her after-school writing club, a safe space for misfits. Eli hesitated. Speaking there would expose him. But Miss Thompson didn't push. She left books on his desk, stories of people who'd overcome impossible odds. Slowly, Eli started showing up, scribbling poems and essays, reading them quietly to the group. They listened, no judgment. For the first time, he felt seen. Miss Thompson saw more than talent. She saw potential. She entered one of Eli's essays in a citywide youth competition, themed Voices for Change. He wrote about living with a stutter, the shame, the fight to be heard. To his shock, he won. The prize wasn't just a certificate. It was an invitation to speak at a UN Youth Summit. The call to speak the letter arrived on a rainy Tuesday, sealed with a UN crest. Eli stared at it, hands shaking. A youth summit on global education, and they wanted him, a 17-year-old with a stutter, to represent his community. His essay had caught the eye of an organizer who saw his story as a beacon for resilience. Eli's mother wept when he told her, but his own heart sank. Writing was one thing. Speaking to a global audience was another. The summit was in 3 months, and the thought of standing before hundreds, cameras rolling, made his throat close up. Marcus's voice echoed in his head. Eli, gonna choke on the world stage?" He almost declined, but Miss Thompson sat him down. "This isn't about perfection," she said. "It's about truth." She connected him with a speech therapist, Dr. Patel, who taught him in breathing techniques and pacing, not to erase his stutter but to work with it. Eli practiced daily, his mother cheering him on, Miss Thompson coaching his delivery. He chose to speak about access to education for kids with disabilities, tying it to his own struggle. Each rehearsal was a battle, but he kept going, driven by a fire he hadn't felt before. Facing the fear. The weeks before the summit were grueling. Eli balanced school, therapy, and rehearsals, his confidence wavering. Dr. Patel taught him to pause when his words caught, to let silence be his strength. But doubts crept in. What if he froze? What if the audience laughed, like his classmates had? One night, he found an old video Marcus posted, his stutter mocked in slow motion. He almost quit, but his mother caught him staring at the screen. "They don't define you," she said, her voice fierce. "You do." Miss Thompson organized mock speeches with the writing club, their applause drowning out his fears. Slowly, Eli's words grew steadier, not perfect, but powerful. He rewrote his speech, weaving in stories of kids like him, denied chances because of differences. The night before the summit, he stood in his tiny bedroom, practicing in front of a cracked mirror. His stutter was still there, but so was his resolve. He wasn't just speaking for himself anymore. He was speaking for every kid told they weren't enough. As he packed his suit, a gift from his mother's savings, he felt the weight of their trust. He couldn't let them down. The speech at the UN hall was a sea of faces. Diplomats, activists, students, cameras trained on the stage. Eli's suit felt too tight, his tie a noose. Backstage, his hands shook as he clutched his note cards. Miss Thompson squeezed his shoulder. "You've got this, Eli. Speak your truth." He stepped to the podium, the lights blinding, the silence deafening. His first word caught, a sharp I, and his heart dropped. Whispers rippled through the crowd. He closed his eyes, took a breath, and remembered Dr. Patel's advice. Own the pause. "I am Eli Carter," he said, slower, deliberate. "And I stutter." The room stilled. He spoke of his years of silence, the bullying, the shame. He shared stories of kids denied education because of disabilities, his voice cracking, but unbroken. His stutter wasn't hidden. It was part of his power. He paused when needed, let silence amplify his words. By the end, his call for inclusive education rang clear. "Every voice deserves to be heard," he finished. For a moment, no one moved. Then, a single clap broke the silence, followed by a wave of applause. The room stood, not out of pity but respect. Eli's eyes burned with tears he didn't hide. Ripples of change. Eli's speech went viral overnight. Clips flooded social media, his words, shared by activists and educators worldwide. His stutter, once a source of shame, became a symbol of courage. Schools invited him to speak, and he did, each time more confidently. Ms. Thompson's writing club grew, kids inspired to share their own stories. Even Marcus, the bully, approached him one day mumbling an apology. Eli didn't forgive easily, but he nodded, choosing peace over anger. His mother watched her son transform, her pride brighter than her exhaustion. The UN organizers offered Eli a role in their youth advocacy program, and he accepted, channeling his voice into policy change. He visited schools, met kids with stutters, and told them they were enough. Letters poured in from strangers, thanking him for showing them resilience. One girl wrote, "I stopped hiding my lisp because of you." Eli kept her letter in his pocket, a reminder of his purpose. The world hadn't changed overnight, but his words had started something, a ripple that grew into a wave. He wasn't just a kid from East Harlem anymore. He was a voice for those who'd been silenced. A new voice. Eli stood at the edge of a new chapter. At 18, he enrolled in community college, studying communications, with Ms. Thompson's encouragement. His UN speech opened doors, scholarships, mentorships, a future he'd never dared imagine. He still stuttered, but it no longer defined him. He spoke at local events, advocating for disability rights, his mother in the front row, beaming. The Velvet Lantern Inn, where his mother still worked, hosted a community watch party for his latest speech, the staff cheering like family. Eli started a podcast, Voices Unheard, interviewing kids with challenges like his. Each episode ended with his mantra, "Your voice matters, even if it shakes." He wasn't perfect. Some days, doubt crept back, old wounds aching, but he kept going. His mother framed his UN speech transcript, hanging it above their tiny kitchen table. One night, as they ate dinner, she said, "You didn't just find your voice, Eli. You gave others theirs." He smiled, words unnecessary. Outside, East Harlem buzzed, the same streets that once crushed him now alive with possibility. Eli Carter, once silenced by bullies, had spoken to the world, and the world had listened.